So today I'm sitting with Shaun Aupiais. Many of you will know him as the coffee guy. He's a co-founder of Red Band Barista Academy and also does a lot in the coffee industry. Really a big personality and a big boy as well. But I'm going to be chatting to him about coffee and what makes him tick. The Red Band Barista Academy we started 5 years ago. It was a journey that my wife and I, Joe and Shaun, got chatting about coffee, and actually we were introduced by Pastor George. I think I was bugging Pastor George about coffee and trying to get some information out of him, and he passed it on to the guy named Shaun. And Shaun and I really kicked it off, and he's taught me so much about coffee and inspired me so much when it comes to what you can do with coffee. What started out as a little dream of wanting to influence a couple of people and help them get jobs has really turned into something significant, which has got reach across 5 cities in South Africa, and we've even put a Barista Academy into Uganda. But I'm sure that's a story we'll chat about a bit later. Shaun, tell me, man, why coffee? What do you love so much about coffee?
You know, I get asked this question all the time, and it's very interesting that coffee. Me starting in the coffee industry was actually like an accident. It was a fluke. I wasn't even drinking coffee before 15 years of this journey, and it wasn't something I really enjoyed. But I was working in an industry that was supplying into the coffee industry, and that's how it started. And obviously from there, the passion, the love, the excitement. But what I think really inspired me the most to want to be part of the coffee industry was the connection, the people, the relationships. So much happens around coffee, the connections that take place, you know. Some of the best meetings we ever have happen around a cup of coffee. Some of the best things that ever happen in life happen around a cup of coffee. Some of the best relationships that we make and the friendships we make happened around a cup of coffee, like, I mean, meeting you at the start of this journey. And not 5, but 6 years later, that was 2014, beginning of 2014, we're now like middle of 2020. And it was, you know, Pastor George introducing us, and, you know, we've been more than just co-founders, but we've become good friends. And coffee connects people.
And I think you said it there, the connection that coffee connects people is really important. I remember when I moved back to South Africa, I really had this desire and passion to help people of my age or younger that haven't had the privileged background I've had. And we were playing around with ideas on how we can do this through skills development and job opportunities. And coffee has been the perfect fit because, like you say, there's actually something deeper there about coffee that gets people talking, gets people connecting. And we've seen that come through, layering that on top of the barista skill and seeing so many people's personalities come out now that they have a platform to talk and show their skills. We often talk about a coffee bean changed my life, and a lot of our baristas, I mean, we've done, I think over 250 people have come through our academy now, from unemployment all the way through to actually being a qualified barista. This coffee bean changed my life. What does that mean to you, and how have you seen our students' lives change?
You know, the one thing, you know, we always speak about is wanting to restore hope, to help give people purpose. And, you know, I still remember the first time I don't know how the conversation came up, but we like hashtag a coffee bean changed my life. And we just started doing that. And, you know, coffee bean changed my life in the sense of it connected me in a way to people that I've never, ever been able to connect. And then starting Red Band and how we see somebody that has absolutely nothing to somebody that becomes the sole breadwinner of their home. So just the social enterprise side of it is that taking people and giving them hope through the fact that this tiny little bean has that ability. So it's there's very little I can say other than that to say that it has the ability to empower, it has the ability to restore, it has the ability to encourage growth, it has the ability to change lives. So is it just a simple little coffee bean?
And on that, you know, I think we've realized this, especially in the first year of doing things, that it really wasn't just about the skill that we gave people of pouring coffee. There was a whole mindset change and a poverty mindset that needed to shift before you give someone a skill. What is your take on that side of things?
Yeah, we spoke about this, and even like through the whole interview process, I'll never, I wasn't there with you that first time you interviewed the first group. And after I think a couple of the groups, I started getting involved in that side of things, and it helped me just to understand a little bit more of where the person's come from. It was a connection that needed to be there. And I think, taking somebody that has been sitting at home, has the mindset of, do I do something with my life? And getting to convince them that they know they want to do something, but they just don't know how to do it. And the beauty about Red Band Academy is it just gives them an option to, you kind of paint this picture to say, this is what you could become. And to watch that person over the weeks develop and realize there's something that actually gives them purpose, and seeing that passion ignite in them over those days. You watch a person go from quiet and timid to a person that when they walk in and we sit down, we have our little Q&A in the morning, and they're sipping on that cup of coffee, and you're watching them stare into that cup. You're seeing personality come out. And yes, other than the caffeine that is now obviously generating all the endorphins or whatever you want to call it, you're seeing somebody that realizes they have a purpose and they have so much more to look forward to in life. And I think that for me has been the thing that really drives me to want to wake up in the morning and go to class, because you get to see people come to life. You get to see personalities come out. You just really get to witness somebody's life become something special. And it's just amazing how a cup of coffee can do that.
And like I said earlier, I just love the fact that it's a job and an industry that people are passionate and proud of, to be in and have a job. We've also had so many funny moments. I walk past the bar sometimes when you guys are doing the training, and there's giggling happening and there's laughing happening. I always laugh at the question when I ask how many sugars people drink in their coffee when we start, and in the end it's 4 or 5 or 6 sugars, but they actually, by the end, they don't have any sugar in their coffee because you've educated them a bit about how to actually pour coffee. What are some other funny moments you've had?
Yeah, there's so many. Thinking about it this morning, for me, as we go along over the first few days, I'm teaching the guys how to identify the different attributes and characteristics of coffee. So like half the time when you pop around and I'm trying to explain to you what sweetness is, you still got that dumb look on your face whenever I say it, which is quite funny. But if you came on a full course, it may work. But if, sorry, Ryan, I just had to throw you under the bus there just for the fun of it. The funny thing for me, when we do a palate development in the second week, so we're about 7 or 8 days in, watching the guys like bite on a piece of grapefruit or bite on a piece of lemon, and watching them jump up and down, giggling and screaming, and it's quite funny. But then those moments where they're like, wow, but at the same time they've got this look on their face that they're pulling, and it's always such a funny thing. And then sometimes it's quite hilarious where the trainers play silly, the other guys play silly stuff on me, and they chuck salt into a cup of coffee, and it's my coffee that I'm experimenting with, and I pick it up and I sip it, and I just turn and look at the oaks. I know they've like thrown salt in my coffee or thrown sugar in my coffee while I'm in the middle of a palate development. So there's so many funny moments. It brings out the best in you, these moments. But yeah, palate development is such a highlight, and there's so much excitement, and there's so many funny things that come from there. It's the more I think about it, it's weird, it's funny, but at the same time, there's more emotional, there's more excitement, there's more serious, in the sense of they start to take life and things in life more seriously than the funny side, But the beauty about being a barista is it's got to be fun, it's got to be exciting. you got to have that vibe about you. You got to bounce around because you energize everybody. And I think that's the thing, you know me, I'm cracking jokes all the time during the course, and I'm sharing every bit of experience I've had out there.
I think that's quite infectious as well. I see the baristas, once they are behind the coffee bar, actually start doing that as well and start interacting with their clients and the people in front of them, which is really cool to see. I mean, Red Band's taken us on some serious adventures. I think of our days of the early days of trying to raise some funds by serving coffee for a cause at Valley Market. We would have 7 or 8 machines with like 6 or 7 baristas just smashing out 2,000 coffees in the morning and going to the coffee champs in Durban. And then one of the biggest adventures we had was launching our academy in Uganda, all the way up in Ginger, at the source of the Nile. That was quite incredible to see you in action and to see how the coffee translates anywhere. So, I mean, we went to go set up an academy there, and we were there for a week while Shaun was doing training. And I spent my time going to introduce myself to all the coffee shops and all the restaurants in town, and just to get a sense of what the coffee industry is about. And do you remember that evening we had where we had all the coffee guys from the city come around, and it was quite an incredible moment just with you standing there sharing your knowledge. And you know, it's different country, different culture, but you're all speaking the same language in coffee.
Look, I still reflect a lot on that trip. It really, for me, it made me realize, I think the one thing about 2018 and that Ugandan trip, it made me realize coffee was so much more than just the beverage. It was about the people. It's about the culture. Uganda had such a beautiful culture. It really opened my eyes to be able to drive up the road. And I don't know if you remember, we drove and we pulled over and we went and walked up to a coffee tree and we looked at a coffee blossom, and I picked it and I put it in my hand. And I reflect back all the time on all these little moments where we were able to be there at source, experiencing, and not just only at source, but we happened to be like on the Nile as well. And you know, it was incredibly surreal. I've got that photo of that evening you were talking about, where all the guys were standing around, and I'm standing on the steps and explaining, like, when you pour, how you need to lift your hand more. But looking back, and all the guys that sent me friend requests on Facebook, because obviously everybody connects through Facebook, and guys sending me like 2 weeks later pictures of latte art they couldn't do before the 2 weeks that I was there, you know, the 2 weeks before. So yeah, like it's incredibly surreal. It's incredibly emotional to be able to impact not only the people around you, but to impact other countries, and how that has impacted how we've seen Clint and his team grow there. They're thriving.
Yeah, I mean, so Shaun,
it's so beautiful.
So we trained a trainer there called Elijah, a local guy. And since then, you know, they've put another 30 people through the course. I think he's run about 4 or 5, maybe more, 6 courses already. And not just are they training baristas, but something that we took from there, I think just came up in a brainstorming session as well with the head of that organization, Clint. But they now have started a program called Coffee Combi, which drives around and raises funds by selling coffee. They've started 2 more businesses, all off the back of us launching an academy there. So it's so cool to see how you know, one little coffee bean and training someone in coffee really springboards into a whole business related side of things that's raising funds for the academy in Uganda. One of the things I wanted to chat to you about as well is we shifted about 3 years ago from not just doing our Barista Academy, which was training unemployed youth. We actually shifted it into a coffee bar. So setting up a Red Band coffee franchise in the enterprise development space, where we take our baristas who really show some initiative and wanting to own their own coffee bar through a 2-year program of being a barista to becoming a manager to eventually becoming a profit share owner, and then the owner of this coffee bar within our coffee Red Band franchise, trying to remove those barriers to entry which someone has when they start their own business. Things like cash management, marketing, R&D on product, you know, those have been really successful. It's a very slow process in taking someone from unemployment all the way to being an owner, but I mean, we've had our bar at NMU. We have a bar in Walmer as well, Walmer Township. And then now on Monday, we actually launch a new one in Strand Hardware. And those two ladies, and I think of them often, they are growing so much, man. And you've had a hand in training as well, Babzi and Kobisa.
Yeah, look, they are absolutely incredible. I've been very fortunate recently with the Coffee for Heroes to have made coffee with it for them. It felt like a reunion. It's so weird that we haven't seen people during the lockdown time, like in 8 weeks, that when I saw them, there was no such thing as social distancing. It was a case of just spray sanitizer up in the air and I'll hug you under it. It was so good to see them, and they've developed, to see how they are thriving as individuals, to see how they are thriving in being a barista, how they're loving it. Their passion, their character is infectious. It infects me to want to be a better barista myself. But not only that, it infects me in a way that I want to train more people, that I can see more of that. So, Babzi, Kobisa, brilliant brew. Just such two amazing examples of young girls that have got so much drive and so much passion, and eventually they will own their own bar. And it's going to happen. It's been trying times, but it's going to happen. It might take another year now because of this.
You mentioned Coffee for Heroes as well, and that was our initiative to try and cover the barista salaries over lockdown, because obviously the bar is closed. We launched that initiative, and man, it did so well. We've had over 3,000 cups of coffee bought, and it's kept our baristas busy all lockdown, and managed to pay their wages and more. And we've also been able to serve coffee at various places, from Livingston to private Medicross to St. George, Greenacres Hospital. You were part of the ones at Provincial and Livingston, I think.
Yeah.
It's a cool experience.
No, I was at. It was hectic. I didn't get to go to Livingston, but I saw all the photos, and Cam shared with me when I saw Cameron. Provincial was crazy. They isolated us in a completely separate area, it was kind of like a holding area, like a high care area, and we just had doctors flooding in there and nurses, and really one of the most emotional days in my life, where you can't realize that a simple cup of coffee can make people so emotional, so thankful, so grateful, that you've got a doctor standing in front of you with tears in their eyes saying thank you so much. The Medicross one was amazing. We only served about 50 coffees, but I mean, we had two cases, I think, one particular case there, the main doctor was so grateful. He came up to me afterwards and he said, what you've done is, you don't realize how amazing it is. That particular doctor went online, bought 10 coffees just after that conversation to say, I'd like you to pay it forward. And it was the whole thing. This is not about, this is about just providing for the people that have become the breadwinners in their homes, and that was the whole thing, is that to ensure that we can keep our people that are thriving happy, but at the same time spread love and happiness through coffee with the doctors, with the hospitals in Walmer Township. The guys, unfortunately, I didn't make it to that one, but Provincial was next level.
It really sparked a sense of generosity with us being able to give that coffee free to all the hospital workers, and people online being able to sign up and go, man, I'll buy a coffee for a doctor. So it was a really good exercise. I don't know if you heard about this
incredible.
Story. I'm not sure if you heard about the story, but Lloyd, our barista that did Red Band barista that works at the Walmer cafe, he came on the Coffee for Heroes campaign at Greenacres Hospital, and afterwards Jonas asked him, how was the experience? And he said, man, this was my favorite day in coffee. Like, I got to serve doctors. I never thought that I would be able to go and actually serve doctors and give them coffee, and they'd need something from me. And I found that so incredible and inspiring that, he was really touched by the fact that these high-profile doctors did something from him, and he got to serve it to them. I love that story.
Yeah. No, it's exactly that. Look, there's very, very little I can say. It's incredibly emotional. Both of those times, both with the Medicross as well as the provincial, I left both of those get-togethers incredibly emotional. I got home.
While I've got you emotional, I want to talk to you quickly about. So a funny thing that I used to do at most graduations. We run a graduation at the end of each course where we all get dressed up and we let our baristas come through and we issue them with a certificate and a red band. The significance of this red band is we ask the alumni of the past barista courses to come through and actually hand over the red band or put it over their arm. And it's meant to be a reminder for anyone who has done the course as to where they've come and what this coffee red band means for them. And they get to wear it at their work with most of the other companies let them wear it on uniforms. So there's a really good significance there. But a funny moment for me is I normally play the video of the past course for telling a bit of a story, and without fail, every time the big baby over here ends up welling up. And
yeah, I got to walk out of the room. It's terrible, it's so that video was the one that we're using, is the one from the second course. And I think two things that stand out for me every time is one of the baristas on that course we lost. He died in a car accident, and every time I see him, it's a reminder of seeing somebody that had the ability to change their life before that happened, and then just the smiles,
and that red band. I mean, that red band's become quite significant. I mean, how many baristas have you had that have asked you for one still because their one has got old or dirty and they want to keep representing where they've come from?
How many times have I asked you for a new red band? Because I keep giving them away. So if I've got one in the car, it's weird. Whenever I'm doing a course, I always leave it on the gear stick, and then so I don't forget it. And then I'll bump into a barista and they'll, don't you have a new one for me? I'm like, yeah, here we go. And I give it to them off the gear stick. And I've got a couple old ones lying around with the old logo. But the guys, unfortunately, whatever happens, they lose it, they misplaced it, it's got old because they're wearing it all the time. And it's so awesome to just to think the fact that they're asking for it means that they're proud. They're proud to wear it. And because the whole thing behind it is that we are a band of baristas. We are a band of brothers and sisters, and they put that thing on. It's like wearing something that reminds them of where they came from, and that excites me to see that they take pride in that. It means that journey for them was just as important as it was for me to see their changes take place in their life. So it's incredible.
And also we've seen, because we've had so many students come through now over the 5-6 years, you see some of them bumping into each other and seeing someone with the red band and going, you did that course too, when did you do that? And it starts a dialogue of something they share in common, just like people do in coffee. Okay, so I want to ask you a question which I ask everyone that I've interviewed around the foundation, not related to coffee, but what's the smallest thing that someone has done that made you feel good about humanity or being a human?
Wow, sure. What a question. My word. That is a tough one. I think, the little things in life, I'm always telling the kids all the time, the small things in life are the things that matter. And it can be just like a random act of kindness, watching people in public, like especially now during this lockdown time, showing other people just amazing grace and kindness and just showing how they care. The little things, bro. It's such a difficult thing for me to answer on a personal basis. But to give you an example, going into a coffee shop and bumping into a barista that I've trained in the past, and that barista works in that shop. He's got There's no ownership, no management, no involvement. And I sat down to have a meeting. I ordered myself a cup of coffee. And about 3 minutes later, he came over with a chocolate croissant. And he said, I just wanted to give this to you to make your day a bit sweeter. And little things like that.
It's interesting. Hey, I've asked a few people this question. It seems to center around the same thing. It's that human connection. So when you get to look in someone else's eye and you resonate with them, that you are both, for each other. Seems to where this question always heads. So, but Shaun, it's been amazing. It's been really amazing chatting to you. I can't wait for our next course. I think we should be opening an academy in J-Bay soon, with a few more options, maybe down in the Cape. So I'm really excited about what this looks like. We've got just putting it out there. We might be looking at a little roasters course sometime. And Red Band's really got some international attention too, with us supposed to have gone to Honduras just before lockdown for the World Roasters Forum. So hopefully that will still happen. But man, I look forward to more adventures with you and training more people with coffee and for that coffee bean to keep changing lives, man. So thanks for catching it. It's been really good.
Awesome, bud. So good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers.